All right, so you want to really get a grip on this Israel-Hezbollah thing, huh? And you've got your stack of articles, I see.
Yeah.
You even flagged this one in Japanese. Wow, you're going deep. 492 dead in a single day. That's a bleak record. We haven't seen numbers like that since the Lebanese Civil War. So, yeah, we need to break this down. We need to do it now.
Yeah, it has a different feel this time, doesn't it? It's not just the attacks, it's the language they're using, the rhetoric, it's all just ramped up.
Israel's coming out strong, saying they're taking apart Hezbollah's weaponry, going right for their stockpiles. What's the expert analysis on that?
Well, Israel has always been very clear that Hezbollah's military buildup, especially those missiles, those are a direct threat. But the timing of this and the intensity of these strikes, this isn't just routine, keeping them off balance. This feels different.
And then it gets even more intense. You remember that Japanese article? There's a part in there, it's chilling, where they talk about Israel accusing Hezbollah of using human shields, civilians right there, to try and stop the attacks.
Right, and Netanyahu, at least according to this article, he didn't beat around the bush. He directly accused Hezbollah of using the Lebanese people as shields.
So this isn't just military strategy, it's a moral play too.
Absolutely. And this isn't the first time we've heard this accusation from Israel during these conflicts. It puts huge pressure on Hezbollah. And of course, it complicates things for the international community, how they respond.
And speaking of the conflict, this article goes really deep on what's actually happening on the ground. Airstrikes, long-range missiles, it seems like they are hitting these Hezbollah positions with everything they've got. And get this. They even mention secondary explosions, which makes you think these weapons caches are huge. That detail, the secondary explosions, that's important. The scale of those explosions tells you they've got a lot of firepower stockpiled. To me, that says that Israel might believe they have a very limited window to act before those weapons are used.
Which would explain why they're going in so hard so fast. But what is the goal here? I mean, this article quotes their defense minister saying they'll keep fighting until Hezbollah is defeated. Can you even really defeat a group like Hezbollah? Completely wipe them out? That's the big question, isn't it? Hezbollah isn't a conventional army you can just bomb into surrendering. They're embedded within the Lebanese population. To get a decisive victory, that's incredibly difficult from a military standpoint and ethically.
So wiping them out completely, that's probably not an option. But then if that's not the goal, what are they trying to do? What's the strategy?
Well, that's what makes all of this so hard to predict. Is this about significantly damaging Hezbollah's ability to function, sending a message? Or is there something else going on here?
So we've got Israel making a big move against Hezbollah, but it always feels like there are more players on the board, right? Like that Japanese article we keep coming back to, it mentions Iran, and they're not just watching from the sideline.
No, they're definitely not. Iran has been Hezbollah's biggest supporter for years, funding them, and maybe even more importantly, giving them the weapons that have made them so much stronger.
Which just throws fuel on the fire, obviously. Yeah. And the Japanese article, it actually quotes Iran's president. And get this, he's accusing Israel of trying to get them, Iran, directly involved. Is that even realistic? Could this spill over Lebanon's borders?
That's the risk, isn't it? And it's a risk you can't ignore. Iran needs Hezbollah. They're a crucial ally in the region, and we've seen it before. They'll use force if they feel threatened. If Iran thinks that Israel is a direct danger to what they want, then yeah, it could get much bigger than Lebanon.
Wow. So this isn't even just about Israel and Hezbollah anymore. It could be a regional conflict with Iran in the mix.
Exactly.
That's scary.
That's why everyone's watching this so closely. The stakes are huge, not just for Israel and Lebanon, but for everyone. For the whole world, really.
So this whole thing is like a powder keg, everyone's tense, and then there's Hezbollah. They've been hit hard, at least if you believe what Israel's saying. How do you think they'll hit back?
That's the big question mark right now. Hezbollah is under pressure, no question. Militarily, politically, all of it. They'll be thinking very carefully about their next move.
Because, I mean, if they do retaliate, in that Japanese article, it makes it seem pretty certain that they will. The question is, how far will they go?
Yeah.
And where? Will they attack Israel directly, or could we see something else, something wider, maybe even bringing in some of those other players?
And that's where it's hard to predict what will happen. Can they even hit Israel back with the same force? Or will they do what they're known for, that asymmetrical warfare?
Which is basically hitting back in unexpected ways, right? And maybe even going after Israeli interests in other parts of the world.
Exactly, and that's what makes this so dangerous. This isn't just two sides shooting at each other across a border. It could easily become something much, much bigger, dragging in more countries and throwing the whole region into chaos.
So we're looking at a powder keg here. Hezbollah wants revenge. Iran's in the background. What should people be paying attention to in the next few days? What's the most important thing to watch?
Honestly, watch how the rest of the world reacts. Nobody wants this to get bigger, and that includes the global community. There's going to be a lot of pressure to calm things down, to stop the violence before it becomes a wildfire.
So diplomacy is the key. Any signs of that happening yet, like backroom deals, anything like that?
It's early, but yeah. You remember that Japanese article you liked?
Mm-hmm.
It mentioned some quiet attempts by France and Egypt to get a ceasefire going. They've got history in the region, so they might be the ones to watch.
Fingers crossed, because nobody wants another war, especially not one that could cover the whole Middle East.
Absolutely not. And it's easy to forget with all this talk of strategy, but there are real people caught in the middle of this. That article, the Japanese one, it really brings that home how awful it is for civilians.
Yeah, people running from their homes, stuck in the fighting.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Exactly. We can't lose sight of that no matter how complicated this all gets.
It's heavy stuff, but important. Thanks for diving into this with me. And for everyone listening, keep an eye on those global players, on Hezbollah, and spare a thought for the folks stuck in the middle. Until next time, stay informed.